Hi. All right, welcome to Photoshop. So basically, we've got our design right here, and we're just going to take textures and start populating this image with all the different textures we need. So, having a look at this, I've got my layers over here, and already, so just have a look at the labels. Okay, so all right. So already having a look at this, I see that I'm going to have wood planks and more wood planks over here. I'm going to have a mural right here, a stone archway, stone face. So all this in here will be a stone face. I'm going to have an arch window right here. I'm going to have a hole in planks that actually comes into a window down here. I'm going to have a graded window. I'm going to have rubble down at the bottom of each side of my door. And of course I have a door. So something else that I'm going to plan for that I don't have in here right now, this is a shout out to all my wonderful students over at the Dave School, who I'm sure at this point would require that I have blast damage on my texture. Um, so this is for you guys, blast damage, so don't let me forget. All right. Um, Now having a look at this, one thing that I need to figure out is how big is my texture really? Um, I have a door right here, and that's probably human scale. So I've created another layer up here. And I'm just going to roughly estimate that this door is 7 feet tall, and if that's 7 feet tall, then this texture is about 24 feet high and about, what is that, 7 times 3, 21 feet across. So these are just things that I'm going to have to keep in mind when I'm designing my texture. Now I'm not going to go measuring everything out. I'm going to eyeball most everything, but this kind of helps me keep in mind just the size that I'm working with. I won't be taking large rocks and making them really small in the texture or vice versa. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to open up the file browser and start looking for textures to use. Let me move these things out of the way. Okay, general purpose textures. So let's have a look here, and let's start with, let's fill up most everything right now with, let's just fill up this stone face first. We'll just get a stone face. So go through here, my concrete, ground, metal, painted surfaces, rock, stone. I'll open this one up. Here we go. Now the file browser is great if you don't have, say, XNView or you don't have AC/DC. Even if you do have those, the file browser has other things that you may not find very easily in AC/DC. So for each one of these images, each one of these textures, I can save file name, date created, date modified, image format, width, height, color mode, resolution, camera data, IPTC. So there's so much in here that can be saved with each texture. I can also assign keywords to each one of these textures. All right, so they have in here like photographic keywords right now. Birthday, graduation, wedding, and it looks like I've got a few other keywords right here, which is perfect. Okay, so let's find a good stone texture to start with. Okay. This is going to be a castle wall, and pretty much whatever you decide here for your own castle, it's going to set the mode and tone of everything else. Right there. That's the bad boy. Okay. Just bring this out in the open right here, and we'll close this down for now. Now I'm working in a very small, I'm working in like 920 by 748 right now, or something even smaller than that, just to make sure that everything I do fits in the DVD. So right down here at the bottom, I can see that this text that I've just brought in is 1024 by 1024 pixels. If I want to get other information about it, I can say click on document sizes. Okay, it's 3 meg. Document profile, it's untagged RGB. Document dimensions, we went into earlier. And I know my menu's going off the little recording thing here, but there's other things down here as well. Okay. So, Let me bring my layers back in over here, my tools back in. Move that right there. Alright. So basically I just need to take this texture and move it over here. The easiest way to do that is to left mouse click on this layer and just drag it over here. And you can tell that this is where it's going to land because see how that goes, see how that line right there toggles on and off? That's how I know. And if I hold down shift before I drop this drag, then my texture will be centered in the new image. Okay, so obviously it's way too large right now. This texture is too huge, and I'm going to do free transformations. So there's a few ways to do free transformations. Once I have my layer selected, if I go into Edit, Transform, oh it's right here, Free Transform, Control T. I use hotkeys a lot because I find menu surfing to get in the way. So the hotkey for that is Control T, and I can tell that I've got my free transformations turned on because I've got this these four sides with the, what was it, 6, 8 boxes around it. So free transformations is an excellent tool. I can scale and stretch and move all around. Now if I want to keep my aspect ratio, because originally I brought this in as a square, if I want to keep my aspect ratio, hold down shift, let go shift, hold down shift, let go shift, hold down shift. And if I want to scale this from the center, instead of the current point where it's scaling to down here, if I want to scale it from the center, hold down shift and alt. See, holding down alt does all my scaling from the center. Holding down shift maintains my aspect ratio. If I want to zoom in, I can use the middle scroll button and zoom in on this. Okay, I will increase this. Kind of scoot that in like that. Right. I like that. Go ahead and enlarge that just a little bit. Okay. There we go. So, great. I have one texture laid down. Luckily, well not luckily, I've done this a few times. I'm starting with a texture that is tileable. What? Tileable? So, basically, the left and right ends align so that there is no noticeable seam, as well as the top and bottom. So I will be taking this texture and copying it left to right and then bottom to top, just to fill in this whole background here. To do that, I can do this a few ways. I can take layer 6 over here, left mouse button, drag drop onto this icon right there. That's the new layer icon, or if you have a layer selected, it's the duplicate layer icon. So I see right up here I have layer 6 copy. But I don't want to do it that way. Alright, so to make another copy with the move tool, right, so V for move, hold down Alt and it makes a whole new copy. And you can see that it's right up here, layer 6 copy. Okay, done. Okay, now one of the problem with that is when I'm moving that around, it's not, maintaining the same horizontal altitude. So if I take layer 6 and move this around, move it around up here, and then hold down shift, it snaps it to one of 3 axes. It'll snap it to the horizontal, it will snap it to the vertical, and you can see my mouse moving out here. If I let go shift, hold down shift, toggle that. And finally it will snap it to the diagonal on the 45. But I'm going to undo that. Control Z for undo. So holding down Alt and Shift will make not only a copy of the current layer, but move that copy along the prescribed axis. Now I'm going to jump in here real quick and make sure that I have no pixel seam between these two things. So I'm going to a little zoom, Z for zoom, zoom in right there. I'm going to take layer 6, and I'm going to start scooching layer 6 copy to the left and right, on a pixel by pixel basis. And to do that, use your left and right cursor keys. Okay, so I see that I have no broken area in there. Perfect. So let's do that again. Zoom in there one more time. V. Gotta make sure I hold down V. So it looks like I had too much of an overlap at first. And lastly, one more time. Okay. Now one thing you may notice is that I'm not going down to the bottom. I'm not going down to the bottom because I've got this area down here planned for rubble. Bring up my labels again. Rubble. So that's what these areas are right here. And you probably remember that from earlier when I showed you what our end result will be. So now you probably noticed that I managed to turn these layers off and on. They're still there. I didn't delete them. And that's what this little I button is for right here. That just turns on and off the layer visibility. Okay, so layer 6 copy 8 is actually not entirely on. See, I got this little bit of overhang right here, and I know that because when I do Control T or free transform, it shows that box around the entirety of that layer, and we see that the layer is going a little bit outside. So I'll just make a decision right now, and I want to scale in layer 6 copy 8. Right, but I can't just scale in layer 6 copy 8 like that, because now if I do that, this one is squished in and all the others are spaced out more normally. So I need to do this all at the same time. So Control Z for undo. So this gets into layer linking. So over here in the layers, there's the layer visibility, which is right here. And then you've got this little paintbrush, which means that's the active layer. That's the one that you're painting on. And then you've got this right here. Indicates if layer is linked. This is layer linking. Okay, so before when I held down Control T for free transform, I just got the box that was like right here. Now, when I hold down Control T, I get the box over the entire set of layers that are linked. So everything from layer 6, well, it's like I can't do that one in free transform. Everything from layer 6 out here to layer 6 copy 8 right here. And holding down Shift in order to maintain my aspect ratio, I'll just bring everything in right there on that border. Hit Enter, and I'm done. So now that everything's linked together, I've got the whole horizontal done. Now I need to take care of the vertical. So I could do this the old-fashioned way. I could take, layer 6 copy 8. Could take that and do, Alt-Shift and scroll that up. But then I'd have to do it one all the way over, one all the way over, one all the way over, and all the way up. And that would just be way too much for me. So I'm going to go ahead and relink these. And now if I hold down Control E, or layer, merge linked. If I hold down Control E, it merges every layer that was linked. So now if I move this around, it just moves around as a whole new layer. So now I will dupe this again with Alt and Shift and bring this up just like that. Double zoom in here to take care of these overlapping pixels. See that tiny little mark right there? That's a mark. That little strip of pixels right there has about half opacity, so it's kind of there and it's kind of not. I'm going to overlap these and get rid of that. That will be very useful later when I start getting into layer effects. Okay, zoom out, so Control plus and Control minus, zoom in and out. Okay, so I'll do this again, V, Alt and Shift. Zoom in, okay. And Control 0, if you zoomed in too far, Control 0 brings you back to the standard viewing. And V, Alt and Shift. That little line right there that I need to get rid of. And one more. V, Alt and Shift. There we go. So we're done. We've made the very first stone facade. Obviously we're going to be placing holes in it. We have boards to go through. We have a door. We have windows to make. We have a mural to put on top of this. We have blast damage to add. But this is the very beginning. You may also notice that there's a lot of repetition. So there's this stone shape that gets repeated on every line, on every line. There's this dark stone right here that also gets repeated. All of this is going to come out in one of the later passes. I'm going to just remove a bunch of that repetition. But for right now, we're just going to bring all the different pieces in and start getting our doors together and everything else. So this right here, go ahead and link these all together and Control E that one more time. Now when you're working on an art team or with other people, it's very important to clearly name and label everything that you do. So we'll call this stone facade. You can see I have a layer set in here with stone facade. I was practicing this before I started recording. We'll just go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, delete that. We've got stone facade. Move scale amount down here. Alright, stone facade is done. Let's go ahead and grab a few other textures and go ahead and clear this out. Okay, so the next one to get alright. Let's go ahead and create the, what do we want to do next? Labels. Let's open up the labels. Let's see, rubble. We'll get the stonework for the rubble. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and pause this and set all this stuff up so you don't have to watch this happen.